Hello, everybody. Welcome into Hoopsville. Welcome to a new season of Division III basketball. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. For the 23rd season, we are back at it here from the Hoopsville Studios. For now, the WBCA Hoopsville Studios. First and foremost, thank you for the Women's Basketball Coaches Association for once again jumping on board and supporting our efforts. We certainly appreciate it. Of course, also presented by D3Hoops.com, our partnership remains strong. And we appreciate everything the guys provide to us, and we hopefully provide for them. There are a lot of changes to talk about, not only in Division III, but with us. And we will get to them as we work our way through the show today. This is one of the first changes. We're live at noon on a Monday. We're always on Mondays. Well, we are on Mondays primarily. We used to reside on Sundays for a long time. We have moved the show to live noon on Mondays and Thursdays for the most part this season. It's going to allow us a little bit less challenges in terms of scheduling where we may have conflicts and the like elsewhere. So we hope you'll enjoy this. We talked to a number of individuals over the last several months in the postseason and all, and off-season and whatever. And daytime felt like a right fit. A lot of coaches certainly are available when this happens, but at the same time, a lot of coaches will tune in. And, well, we want them to tune in, and we want the rest of you to tune in. And as always, we are coming to you on a simulcast. Now, our status on where we will be and what channels is still up in the air a little bit. So today we're on our usual group with Hudl, YouTube, and Facebook. That may evolve over time. Bear with us. There will be some shows that will not be available on Hudl due to the nature of what those programs are, and we'll talk more about that coming up. So the first change, we are going to be live noon on Mondays and Thursdays, unless there's a scheduling conflict. There's one or two this year, I believe, that we will have to tackle, and we will tackle accordingly. It's less challenges than there were if we were on the evenings. We would have shifted a lot of shows to afternoons due to my commitments elsewhere in the evenings during basketball season. So that's the first biggest change. We'll be live every Monday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We're also going to try and stick to about a 2-hour window, so we've removed an interview segment from the show. So with 8 regions, when we had 8 regions, it was very easy to have 4 guests, 1 from each region on every show. When we moved to 10 regions, we did our darndest to keep that tradition alive and have 5 guests on per show. We were crazy. It didn't work, and we certainly couldn't stay within the 2-hour window. So out of fairness, we've removed this segment. We're going to stick with 4 guests unless news warrants we try and get somebody else into a show for a 5th, and we will manage that accordingly. How we plan to do it? We'll see, because we don't really get into our regional designated interviews until January. This time of year in November and December, we'll primarily kind of stick with segmented stuff in terms of, hey, let's talk to the preseason number ones. Let's talk to teams that are off to good starts. Let's talk to these. Let's talk to those. Not worrying necessarily about what region, conference, et cetera, they're coming from. We'll still divvy it up. We'll try not to dip into the same region for an entire show. For example, I don't want to do an entire all New England show. I don't want to do an entire West Coast show, that kind of stuff, unless there's some major reason to do so. But the regional stuff we'll manage, and it may just simply come down to be blunt, that we skip a region on every show and we just rotate in some capacity. I don't think that's too difficult in some of the regions that we have. So that's the first thing. We're going to try and stick to the 2-hour window. Another favorite segment, and this is going to get to our most interesting part of the show. Our other popular segment was the Top 25 Double Take. We're removing that from the live shows, believe it or not. And we are adding a show when there's a Top 25. It's going to be called Hoopsville Top 25 Double Take. Ooh, I know, original name, right? Exactly the same name as the segment, but it's going to be its own show. For example, this evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we will be live from these Hoopsville studios to talk about the preseason Top 25. I know, it's a little odd to be talking about it a couple days into the season. I apologize. We were meant to do this last week, but scheduling got in the way to do it last Monday, and then any thoughts of doing it Thursday were luckily thwarted before we planned it, because last week, for personal reasons, became rather difficult. So as a result of that, we will do the preseason top 25 double take tonight at 8:30. Ryan Scott will join me to talk about the men's side of things, and then Riley Zayas and we hope Scott Peterson will be able to join us on the women's side. We will always do men first and women second to keep the scheduling simpler for everybody. And while tonight, this is how we will have it set up. In the future, Ryan will join me for the most part on women's side. And on the men's side, I'm sorry, I misspoke on that. Ryan will join me on the men's side at all times. On the women's side, Scott and Riley will kind of alternate joining me. And for each segment, we will bring in a guest individual. Whether that's a Bob Quillman, a Matt Snyder, a Gordon Mann, a Pat Coleman, or somebody else who either votes in the top 25 and is public about that, we should point out, or is somebody who follows the top 25 but doesn't necessarily vote, certainly knowledgeable enough, whether it's a former coach or somebody of that nature, or somebody else. We will have a guest individual join us on those subsequent shows. So, for example, next Monday, we won't have a show. But the following Monday, the Monday before Thanksgiving, we will. Because that's when the next top 25, the first in-season top 25, will be put out at d3hoops.com. And so we'll have something to talk about. Here's the catch, though. This show on Monday, tonight, November 10th, will be live for everybody. A show at the start of January will also be live for everybody. Not the rest. The rest will be live for Hoopsville subscribers and available for the first, say, 36 hours via archives and podcast. It will not be available to the general public in that window. So if you want to get early access to that information, which also includes my top 25 ballot, you have to become a Hoopsville subscriber. And while I don't have a fancy graphic for it now due to some technical gremlins, we will get one for you. buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville is where you can be a subscriber and donate to our cause. This is similar to Patreon for D3 Sports, though it's different because this just goes to us and the show. Lots of people have tried to donate in the past. We have struggled to find a really solid way of doing that, and this is what we have come up with. So you'll get my top 25 ballot. By the way, the subscribers are the only ones who will see my top 25 ballot every time I put one together. For example, tomorrow, I hope, I'll have that top 25 ballot written for subscribers. Maybe we'll make tomorrow's open to the public. I don't know. It's a bit controversial in some of my choices, I think. But we'll see. You'll also get access, as we said, to the Top 25 Double Take show earlier than everybody else, including live. And there's some other perks along the way, including a new podcast, Hoopsville Off Court, which will be debuting in December, where we will be talking in depth with alums, former coaches, current coaches, administrators, and the like. In-depth, long-term conversations, primarily podcast-based, but there will be video when we decide to release them, that will primarily be only available to subscribers. Eventually, it'll be available to the public, but we don't know when. We aren't going to necessarily set that in stone. If any, some of them may not become public at all. So if you want to hear those in-depth conversations, you're going to want to become a Hoopsville subscriber. And to be blunt, this is a way for us in a three-pronged approach to try and bring some funding into the program for our time and efforts to do it, not to make a living off of, certainly. We have other jobs to try and do that. But this is a lot of time. This is a lot of effort. And as you tell from our studios, it's a lot of other things, as it were. And so this is a way to try and keep our lights on, literally, as we are in our 23rd season. Maybe we're a little late to the party on that. We felt like we were ahead of the curve, and then we kind of paused a little bit about it. We've had to get serious about it. So that's where that is. Buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. We have links on all our social medias for that. We will eventually put a QR code here on the screen along with the link on the screen. Just had some I could not find the graphic I made in time for the show, so we will dig that up at a later date and get it available for you. so that future shows have that. So that's what that all entails, and we hope it is something that you all can take advantage of, and we look forward, to say the least, to hearing from you regarding it all. Let's talk about what we got coming up on the show. As you can tell over my right-hand shoulder on the little tote board there, we'll have the number ones Trinity and NYU on the show. Of course, they're also both the defending champs, so that makes it convenient. Usually put the sign in order on how they appear. I goofed. NYU should have been up. Trinity should be on the second line because Meg Barber will be our first guest today from NYU, followed by James Cosgrove from Trinity to talk about their two programs, what it was like to be the champs in the offseason, and what the season ahead looks like them. NYU, last I checked, does not have Natalie Bruns back this year, along with some of her teammates. We'll talk to Meg Barber about how long this winning streak might be able to stay alive, and we'll talk to the James Cosgrove just what it's like to be a Bantam and how they're going to survive this season as well, with a huge target now on their backs. Mary Washington's men's basketball coach Marcus Kahn will join us to talk about the Eagles. They leapfrogged into the top 25 to number 15. There's a lot of expectations at Mary Wash. They're going to have a good season. We'll talk to him about those expectations, what it's like to play down the road, as it were, from Christopher Newport, who are technically, they are in the same conference, and more about where the evolution of this program has come along since Conn joined them when he left Cabrini, obviously well before they closed their doors. And then John Carroll women's basketball coach Beth Andrews will join us to talk about her squad. They have jumped into the top 25 at number 14 in the preseason. High expectations there. Usually the men steal the spotlight. It might be the women this year who steal it themselves. We'll talk to her about how that all will play out and outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And so those are our four guests for today. In the future, again, in these first few months, we'll talk to those that catch our interest for varying reasons and wants. On Thursday's show, for example, we'll dip into some of the new rules you may have already seen, or some of the new emphases. I'm using that a little facetiously. Ryan Scott did a great chat with Jim Haney, and we'll slide in a little bit of that on Thursday's show, but not to steal from the efforts he did. You can always go to d3hoops.com to find the full interview with Jim Haney. So we'll hear from him, but also a lot to other things to talk about along the way. Still a little bit in crossover season. I called volleyball, soccer, and basketball in some capacity this past weekend. The weekend before that, it was wrestling, water polo, and soccer. And it's mostly basketball moving forward, but I've got some volleyball intermixed as well. So sometimes if I look a little bit rattled, it's because I don't remember what's going on. A lot of coaching changes this offseason, some of them really startling and surprising to me. I'm not going to be able to touch on all of them. I know I'm going to miss a few, but the ones that really stood out to me were, one that we knew we saw coming, and one I did not see coming at all, or two that I didn't see coming at all. Middlebury, MIT, Stevenson. What do they all have in common? I'll let you ponder on that as you think. What could they all have in common? Well, the biggest thing they have in common is they all lost their men's basketball coaches. So what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, you lost a wealth of institutional knowledge, experience, etc., for black coaches. Jeff Brown, the head coach at Middlebury, Larry Anderson, the head coach at MIT, Gary Stewart, the head coach at Stevenson. The three of the four winningest black coaches in Division III basketball at the end of last year. Jeff Brown retired, Larry Anderson retired, Gary Stewart's thinking about retirement. He did not retire. Gary Stewart headed back to California and to Division II. Oh, Lord, I just forgot the school he headed back to. I had UC Davis in my head because that's where he had been. And I've just totally blanked on where he's headed. I apologize, Gary. I should know better. But, and for Gary, it was a very late in the process decision. But again, you've got three of the four winningest coaches in Division III for black coaches. And the gap between them and the rest of black coaches is significant. And so it's unfortunate, and I know that these coaches are still around in some capacity, but it's different when they're more quote-unquote public, right? And so we've lost, it's hard to describe, we've lost this huge wealth of knowledge. We've lost this mentorship to some degree. We've lost their being around. Now, I think Jeff Brown is still involved with the NABC. I know Gary Stewart is, though he moves into Division II. I don't think Larry wasn't hugely, at least from a board perspective, involved in the NABC, but I think he was still involved. They will definitely be individuals, I am sure. Jeff Brown and Larry Anderson as two coaches immediately for the NABC All-Star Game would be awesome, as they both have been huge providers and community service individuals. That's who it is. It's the NABC Community Service Award that become the coaches for the D3 All-Star Game. I don't see a reason why those two aren't a shoo-in at some point in the very near future to be the coaches, so we'll see them involved. But I feel bad for the Division III group to lose that. And I don't know what the impact will be in the long term. There are great coaches in a lot of great places, including the NESCAC, for the record, to take over. So I'll be fascinated to see how that plays out. That's what stood out to me in this offseason. There were a lot, don't get me wrong, there were a lot of coaching changes in Division III. Some of them we saw coming. I just felt those had, I would say, the largest impact and will have the largest impact on the game as a whole. There certainly were other coaching changes, and we can go through the list. I'm actually trying to call up one in particular because the NYU decision really fascinated me. After losing in the national championship, the fact that Dave Klatsky was on the radar for Division I jobs was about the worst kept secret, including by himself, that I think I've ever seen. It was rumored during the weekend, and he stayed quiet about it, made it hard as a broadcaster to not talk about it while not talking about it. He was seen directly behind the Florida bench at their Final Four, which basically said everything it needed to say. Yes, there's connections there, but it was more than that. I mean, he was literally right behind the bench. And then Waleed Fareed, I hope I say Waleed's name correct. I always second guess myself. Took over the program at NYU, and this is nothing against him. I think it surprised many of us because he's probably going to do very well there. I don't doubt it, but I don't think it was on anybody's radars. I think because of NYU's recent success, I think a lot of people thought this would be some kind of big hire, as we all kind of talk about in Division III, and I'm saying that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because what is a big hire, right, in Division III? But certainly saw a lot of names in the mix, and he got the job. There were some D1 assistants and others who were involved, and I'll be fascinated to see. He's got a tall task. I mean, what are the expectations at NYU men's basketball when you only bring back 7% of your scoring? They've got a whole wealth of transfers, but what Dave Klatsky could do with transfers doesn't mean that any other coach can do with them, because that was it seemed to be a Dave Klatsky specialty, maybe. And who knows if the same resources are in place, right? Now, of course, the women are still winning, and we'll talk to Meg Barber here coming up very shortly. But anyway, fascinating. We knew John Lacey was leaving from Baruch. That also we knew well before the tournament came to a close as a committee chair. So no surprise there. Tony Wingen retiring from Carnegie Mellon. They hired Justin Simon, which I think will be an interesting choice, an assistant from D1 Yale. A lot of D3s were in the mix for that. Apparently decided to go, and that was kind of where we thought a lot of where NYU would probably end up as well. Greg Mason retired from center. Gonna miss Greg. They've given the interim tag to Gavin Root, his assistant, but Greg deciding to leave basketball. Gonna miss Greg. I know he'll stay in touch, but still gonna miss him in many ways. Nice to see Ryan Van Zelst get a job. He took over at Drew on Michael McSlorley's Slowey left. He headed to Ithaca, where Waleed Fareed had left Ithaca. So you see where the rocks sometimes trickle along. Van Zelst, listen, really successful coach when he was at Abington. Who then took over at Cabrini before they were closed. I expect Drew to be pretty good under Ryan. Great conversation between he and his brother a few weeks back. B.J. Dunn left Gettysburg for MIT. B.J. Dunn's name was in about every major coaching hire search in the last 2-3 seasons, including this offseason. Landed the job at MIT, which is a little bit closer to home for himself, and Matt Hunter took over for him. Matt Hunter went a bit west from York, and York put the interim tag on their head coach, so a bit of a trickle-down effect there. Matt Hunter and Gettysburg, and that's why we have the jerseys up on the door, took the number 2 Randolph-Macon Yellow Jackets to the wire, and if the clock had started accurately, maybe the shot gets off earlier and they tie it, but instead the shot got off, it beat the buzzer and was made, but the clock started late, and so the shot did not count, and Yellow Jackets and Josh Merkel survive. By the way, Josh Merkel's been at Randolph-Macon 11 seasons. Can you believe that? What else? Tom Palumbo leaving Guilford. I think that surprised many of us. Palumbo, who won more than 650 games as both a men's and women's coach, went to join his former assistant, who's now the head coach at D1 Longwood. I don't think we're going to see Guilford remain in the ODAC battle this year and moving forward. John Barron left Gwynedd Mercy. Trying to think. Ryan Highland left John Jay, which really kind of surprised me considering what he's doing, but he's joined the coaching staff at D1 Fordham. I'm just running through a few of these. There's so much more to dive in, and we will certainly dive into more of these. Abe leaving McAllister really surprised me. Shortly after we saw him in Fort Wayne, where he was getting more involved with the NABC, became an assistant coach at Dartmouth. I'm a little surprised. No, he didn't become an assistant coach at Dartmouth. Sorry. The assistant coach at Dartmouth took over the program at McAllister. Abe went on to, I forgot. He went on to a D1 program. John Vanderwall leaving Marietta for the Trine job. Of course, the Trine job opening up right after we saw him at the Final Four. John Vanderwall taking over somewhat surprised us. I'll be interested to see how that translates. We've already seen some early signs. Cliff Carroll, we knew was leaving Baldwin Wallace. He ended up at a D2 program, I think. Rick Van Pelt out at Messiah. Darren Keckler left Moravian. He's out of coaching, best I know. He followed his wife to Tennessee. She's a women's basketball coach. This is just on the men's side. We'll talk about the women's side later. Greg Neely left Piedmont. That, for some reason, just stuck out to me. Yeah, lots of... Landry Kozmowski leaving Swarthmore. Should have mentioned that one earlier. Not surprised he left Swarthmore. Surprised he ended up at the Camels of Campbell. I thought he could land at a different job, but a lot of people think he will turn that into something else. Shane Leffler takes over. That's the brother of the other Leffler at Swarthmore. Matt Goldsmith left TCNJ. Well, that's because he took over Middlebury. Brooks Miller, as we mentioned, left Trine. I can't remember. I actually forgot. Or he went to a D1 program as well. Jimmy Smith left for a D1 program over at Stephen F. Austin. Just double checking a couple more before I sign off here. That's it for the men's side. We'll talk about the women's side later, but a lot of coaching changes, and I think it really caught a few of us off guard by some of those coaching changes. With that in mind, we will take a break. Coming up, we're going to talk to NYU women's basketball and Meg Barber. So much to get into. We got so much on this show to talk about on the opener. Hope you'll join us. Either tweet us at D3 Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. You can email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. You can also join us on the Facebook or YouTube live streams, where we'll try and keep track of the comments when they come in there. Lots of ways to interact with us, and we hope you'll take advantage of them. If you've got questions for us or our guests while we're live, feel free to chime in. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops. And from the WBCA studios, back with more after this.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC 1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us. All of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you are enjoying our first show of the season. It's certainly better than last year's first show that didn't debut until February. We're at least on the air for our 23rd season, and we appreciate you taking the time. Again, if you want to interact with us, you can tweet at us at D3Hoops or hashtag Hoopsville. You can email us, try that one again, Hoopsville at D3Sports.com. You can also join us on our YouTube and Facebook simulcasts. We'll do our best to pay attention to all avenues and dive in wherever there might be a question and see what anybody has to say, etc., etc., etc. I got one coach. Is this a coach? Now I'm curious. No, someone who reports on JCU men's basketball if we want to talk about a new team in the NCAC. Yeah, we'll be talking about John Carroll coming up. All right, so we always talk to the defending champs in the beginning of the season if we can. Sometimes, and most times, they're also the number one team in the preseason poll. No surprise, that's the same case on the women's side as NYU continues to win. They have now gone 2 straight seasons undefeated. Last time they lost, you got to go back to the 2023 postseason. I believe it was quarterfinals against Transylvania. And the last time in the regular season, you got to go back to January of that year. They have been rolling along under the tutelage of Meg Barber. And to talk all about it, guess who's joining us on the program? It's the aforementioned Meg Barber, head coach of the Violets of NYU. Coach, welcome to the show. Welcome to a new season. Welcome to your ongoing winning streak.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Dave. Pleasure to be here.
I appreciate you finding time in your busy schedule. Just to get it out of the way, it is 62 straight officially. We're not yet at 81. We'll talk about that in a bit. But let's go back to the championship, because I think, I'm going to start with this. I think I saw in person your toughest game. It was not the championship. It was not the semifinal. I think you got tested the biggest by a team I didn't think was going to test you. That was quarterfinals against Gettysburg. You guys were a little bit on the rope there. I found that game fascinating. What did you all see it the same way, and how did that help you into the Final Four?
Yeah, I think that whole weekend, our men obviously hosting at home and us going out on the road, and, our UA schedule obviously helps a lot with that, with our travel and just preparing to play in tough gyms week in and week out. But I actually thought the day before Geneseo, that game was a phenomenal basketball game. I thought they were really, really well coached. They had a tremendous game plan.
That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah. So I think, having Gettysburg then on their home court back to back, that whole weekend was, really, really tough, and obviously, felt great to get through and head back to the Final Four.
Yeah, that's a good point. Geneseo gave you a real tough test in that previous game. I'm kind of curious, though, because I see it from my perspective, and honestly, I was a little surprised, because when you look at the matchup, at least with Gettysburg, in terms of height, in terms of experience, in terms of size, they were also not playing with their best player of the season, and technically two best players, because they had lost one of their other best ones all the way back in November. But, their best guard, their best defender, not on the floor, and they still gave you a bit of a run. And I don't want to equate that if she's there, it's a different game, because you don't know how those dynamics play out. But I went into that going, hey, Gettysburg might play with them for a little bit, but they're just overmatched here. What was it about that matchup that kind of gave you guys trouble? Because Natalie Bruns wasn't a huge impact until late in that game.
Yeah, they had athleticism to match up with her, certainly. Their post player had a couple early blocks that I think she hadn't necessarily seen that all season. But she's a player that really is poised and really doesn't get rattled. I think for her, it's more so kind of having a moment to reflect and really think about where her spots might be if something's taken away. And probably to that point, not many things were taken away. So, it was kind of a little bit different situation for her to have an interior presence that really could match up with her skill set and her athleticism. I think in general, I've been through it twice now. That game to get to the Final Four is really tough. I've been on the winning side of that. I've been on the losing side of that twice. And I think there's a lot of pressure in that game, almost more so than when you're in the Final Four. You have kind of this we've made it feeling. And I think when it's that, Final Eight and you're kind of desperately trying to get your team to that next weekend, there's a lot of pressure from both sides. And, I think that definitely comes out a little bit.
Was there a dynamic with the men also doing just as well? Expectations of maybe a dual national championship for the school. Does that play a role? Is that in everybody's mind, or is maybe that more on the pressure on the men's side because women have been there?
Well, we are the biggest fans of our men's staff and vice versa. So I think for both programs it was just really great energy here in New York. Cheering each other on and. Even as we were celebrating with the confetti falling in the after the national championship, our players were like, "What's the men's score?" First question out of their mouths. So that was just really, really neat to be a part of. Such a unique experience. Also, our swimming and diving team was in the national championships at the same time. So there was just a lot of really fun momentum here with NYU athletics.
I mean, that was my next question, was how aware were you all during that championship? Because if memory serves, the men's game was first. Or roughly the same time as the women's game, maybe in simultaneously. So were you paying attention, or was that locked out? You had to focus on what you needed to focus on.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wish each other well, Dave and I and the rest of the staff. And then, we were focused on our game. But like I said, right after the game was over, we had some administrators out on the court and we were asking them, And, as trophies are being passed out, the girls are watching the phones. It was a nail biter on their side. Obviously, we were disappointed that they didn't pull it out, but they had a tremendous season as well.
Yeah, so talk about this championship. It's the second in a row. And let's be honest, narrowly missed the third, right? That one back in 23 nearly came through when Transylvania finally broke through. We'll talk about the streak in a bit, but it's the second in a row. You once again have a team that everybody thinks can do it again. Talk about at least the offseason and what that celebration of a championship was like and how long you guys enjoyed it before you started focusing on this year.
Yeah, this one I think felt very different than the year before. Just the culmination for Natalie Bruns, for Belle Plecchia to have these, kind of storybook ending on such incredible years. Mary-Kate Fahey, Chloe Teeter, having four-year players was really, really special. Certainly having Jamie Behar, incorporated into our group for that last year also was really special. So, we enjoyed it. We took advantage of what New York City has to offer. I think the highlight for me, I got to throw out the first pitch at the Mets game. And
I saw that.
Fan, so, yeah, so just fun, New York City highlights. And, but the bigger celebration for them was probably graduation and, all the things they're doing now. So, it is a weird feeling. It feels a little bit like a reset this year, just with those 4-year, they started pretty much every game of their career. So,
right.
We're in the midst of this kind of continuation in a sense, and people talking about us having won 2. And, I think for our staff, it felt like, a chapter closing and sort of a new chapter about to be written this year.
Did the Mets offer you a contract to pitch? They kind of needed some help.
They did. I am a lefty, so I thought they could use me, but no, unfortunately.
Listen, if they did, we could have talked about some of the rules you need to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously disappointment that the men didn't win, but they came darn close. But then they have upheaval. You guys don't. Very status quo. Meg, I'll be honest. I'd be stunned if you weren't getting calls from other institutions, especially at the Division I level, saying, "Hey, we got an opening. We need a coach like you." You don't need to say yes or no to that. We're just going to go on the assumption it's a yes, because it'd be insane that it wouldn't be. But that said, what is it about NYU? What is it about this job? What is it about the program that wants you to stay there and keep it going? And is it as simple as you're 62-0 at this point in time and you want to keep this rolling?
Oh, I can tell you that is not.
And by the way, 64. I'm going off. We haven't talked about the next season yet.
Yeah. No, listen, it's not quite different than, how we recruit here, right? We also have a lot of players that are looking at Division I spaces and what that experience and kind of weighing, the pros and cons and, stacking NYU up against, a playing experience. And, that's my off season as well, stacking this up against, Division I, opportunity and location and type of school and all that. And, to date, this place still, I think is, getting my absolute best and is, I'm also benefiting a lot from just having a real passion for coaching here and investing in the type of student athletes and, getting to be around really great people every day. So that for me is the biggest thing. I was on the D1 side for a long time as an assistant and associate head coach. And so I think for me that maybe a little bit of a difference is I'm not quite as curious about it.
Fair. Absolutely.
I know what it's like. And, there's certainly really, great opportunities out there. But this one right now, for me, NYU has my heart. And I just really, really genuinely enjoy being here. And I think, coaching is challenging and, it takes a lot of our time. So for me, the most important thing is to just be at a place that I really want to be at.
It completely makes sense. And the curiosity part, that's a great perspective. And maybe to some degree, too, what that is and what this is. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many coaches I know who knows what this is and rather for work-life balance stick with this than that.
Yeah.
All right, we should point out, now that we're flipping into this season, we've got 2 in the bag. So we're now at 64. I've done the check. Let's get this out of the way. 81 would be tied on February 1st against Carnegie Mellon. It would be broken on February 6th against Case Western. If anybody can figure that out, we'd be in the middle of UAA play, meaning, there's hurdles. I know it's not necessarily on the tote board, but it's not something that can be ignored either. How do you deal with the idea that you could be marching towards a legacy number, or you are marching towards it, but ever so closer? Not only would people love to knock you off, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but your team as itself understanding the dynamics of that record and maybe not letting it get to them.
Yeah, that feels like a loaded question, although it doesn't exist in me as a loaded emotion. I never entered this profession to win every game, and I don't think all of us who coach, we're on, wins, losses all year. So it's been very different to be in the non-loss side, exclusively. And it's just not an expectation that I ever have, and the way I try to overcome it right now is just preparing for every game and every week the same way as we did last year, same way this year, no matter who our opponent is, just really focusing on ourselves and trying to put the team in the best position to be successful. But, knowing and having a lot of respect for, teams around the country, certainly our league, and, the toughness of having to play on the road, the toughness of, the Fridays, Sundays against really, really high level opponents. So, I don't know. I was on the other side of the streak, actually.
Well, yeah.
So I can tell you that I think a bigger part of me heading into every game is just that I hate to lose. And I don't necessarily think about the wins racking up as much as like my hatred of losing is probably the same no matter what, it's not going to be different because we won a certain number of games in a row. So, but I had to sit on or be out on the court for WashU's run. All 4 years of my career, I just kept butting up against that. And I do think that has helped my perspective in terms of knowing, just seeing that excellence and, having to compete against that. We were able to knock them off once, but I do think that has definitely been incorporated in, this run that we've had.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an irony there that what this is like from both sides, that you experienced it as a student athlete at NYU while Nancy Fay and her team were absolutely destroying Division III. And that's the number. It's the 81. And interestingly enough, WashU is 3 games prior to 81 this year on January 23rd. What's also interesting, you can call it coincidence, you can call it an irony or whatever, you're at 64. 64 is the number you all ended Transylvania in the Final Four in 2024. That's the number they were at when you brought that record to a close. That's where you all sit now for anybody who may be, as they say, scoring at home. You got out to a strong win over Swarthmore, 108-49. You beat Regis 114-35. How did those two games feel like both barometers of just how good NYU is? Once again, I hate to say it, but also how do you treat those games moving forward? Because even New Jersey City coming up next is not going to be those two programs in Swarthmore and Regis.
Yeah, like I said, for our staff, we try to treat every game the same, so, and a lot of that is just right now, especially with a lot of new faces and new roles, even if players are here, they're in different roles, and, just focusing on developing chemistry and making sure that our standards are being met in terms of, defensive pressure, shot selection, rebounding, all those facets. So, I definitely, New Jersey City has had stacked a bunch of good seasons together. I think, New Paltz, just a little glimpse into them. I think they're probably a top 25 team. They look really, really strong and aggressive. So, I can barely breathe thinking about UAA play, let alone, just looking at the weeks ahead.
You're lucky, like everybody else, unlike on everybody else, you get to wait on that UAA play and conference action a little longer in the tooth. It just turns into a bit of a grind. give me a sense, though. Natalie Bruns just last season, we're not talking the rest, averaged 27 minutes a game. She averaged 17 points a game, 6.5 rebounds. Palekia, 14.5 points a game and 4 rebounds. Caroline Pepper is back. She was the next leading scorer on that group, and she's now leading the team in the opening 2 at 20 points a game with Batchelor and Alexander. But give us a sense of who these players are. Who are we going to be watching that is going to maybe have us forget? I don't know if that's possible with the Jostens winner, but maybe forget about Palekia and Bruns and the rest and make us really appreciate what you have as talent and the rest.
Yeah, I mean, we've really, the championship runs have been put together by committee. We haven't had a singular, hey, Bruns, you have to score 30 or we're in trouble. I mean, she's putting up, I would say, like on the scene, like somewhat average numbers, compared to, some players that are in the high 20s and low 30s. So they are irreplaceable. There's no question. Natalie Bruns and Belle Plucky are irreplaceable, but it's going to be by committee again. And, how that committee looks is just what's going to be different. But, I always would prefer, even scoring and multiple players that have to be stopped and not allowing teams to just focus on any one player. This year already we're seeing that with Zara Alexander and Caroline Pepper and certainly some of our new, freshman faces as well.
Is it easier to recruit when you're a 2-time champ, but harder to recruit because it's NYU?
It's different. I think, one thing that's has been really fun, and this freshman class certainly exemplifies it, is recruiting to replace players as opposed to recruiting to, try and come in and hopefully play with, but also play behind, some of those guys. And I think was pretty difficult for players, to maybe not necessarily see the light at the end of that tunnel. But, we've kind of recruited to replace, and this freshman class definitely looks the part right now. And, they're still freshmen, so they have a lot of growth in them still, but we're really, really excited about, how they fit with what we do.
Even Bruns and Palekia were freshmen 20 years ago. Sorry, yeah. Little COVID joke. Hey, looking at the schedule, listen, certainly has its challenges, but I also know you face the challenge of people not wanting to face you, right? A conference, they have no choice. Non-conference, they have a choice. A lot of people like to try and get somewhere warm and comfortable. This winter looks like it might be a bit of a doozy on the East Coast, according to long-term predictions. So I look at the schedule, fascinated to see you're going to Montreal? Listen, gorgeous city. Yeah. Told it looks gorgeous in the winter, but you are choosing to go play 2 games against Hamilton and SUNY Oneonta. SUNY Oneonta is not getting much better with their weather. Hamilton's not getting much better with their weather. What's your excuse?
I love Canada, actually.
No, I do. I love Canada myself.
So, yeah. But yeah, you kind of nailed it. We had a really hard time scheduling. And fortunately, some of these, pay and play tournaments help with scheduling in that regard because you're locked in. So, we were fortunate to get locked in, and, we'll have a fun little international flair to our season this year, which will be a fun experience for us.
I actually need to double check something on your schedule here because our schedule looks wonky. I don't believe myself. So bear with me a second. I want to check. Yeah, you're going to play Colby Sawyer and then somebody else there also. That's in Brooklyn, right?
In Brooklyn, yeah. Medgar Evers and Merchant Marine is in that tournament as well. So
got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you got a lot of locals. You've got a little bit of challenges like New Jersey City coming up, but conference. Before I let you go, what are you expecting from this conference this year? There are a couple teams that really kind of established themselves last season, and I don't know if it's going to be as deep and as competitive as the men have become on the UAA side, but it looks doozy this year.
Yeah, I mean, we were, we had our bus ride back from Brandeis, and we were tuning in to we had a lot of traffic, so we had a lot of time to watch some of our counterparts in the league. And, I definitely think we have multiple teams built to win in our conference. So, as always, it's never easy, but I think it definitely is a step up this year with who people return and some of the new faces across the league.
And the Paulson Center's open.
Fingers crossed. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Paulson Center is open. Paulson Center has treated us well. So,
hey, well, as always, it is a blast to chat with you. I appreciate you finding some time and to adjust your schedule from our postponement on Thursday to join us and chat about the Violets. The team looks great. And as always, impressed when you get to 64-0. And good luck the rest of the way. We may not get a chance to immediately chat with you on it, but as we get close to 81, we're going to have to be forced to if you get there. But congrats on the championships. Congrats on everything. Really appreciate the time. As always, we give the guests, though, the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Well, Dave, I always appreciate seeing you, and thanks for being back on the air for all of our D3 Hoops junkies. And I just want to give a shout out to all my fellow coaches and, wish everybody a healthy and successful season. And everything always takes a little bit of luck. So wishing everybody a little bit of luck and a lot of health. Yeah,
well said. Hey, good luck, as I said. Look forward to catching up with you down the road. Enjoy it. Enjoy Quebec, just for the record. Montreal's gorgeous, I heard. Someday I'll get there myself. Maybe they'll get a baseball team again, too. You never know. And in the meantime, take care. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Dave.
That is our friend Meg Barber joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Appreciate her taking the time to join us. NYU looking ferocious. Should be fun to watch out of New York and even in Canada this upcoming season. We'll see how close they can get to 81 if they can surpass it as we move along. When we come back, Trinity men's basketball on the docket. Talk pretty much the same stuff. Can they repeat as champs? And what's it like to be number one coming out of the NESCAC? You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops and WBCA. More after this.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that. A lot more.
Sure, the game is important. But as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com. The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
There are over 480,000 college athletes. Only 2% would go pro.
That means over 470,000 will not get a shoe contract. No autographs. No private jets. No fan clubs. No Hall of Fame inductions. Instead, they will walk away with something much more valuable.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, as we continue to roll along on the first show of the season on this Monday. Again, we'll be live Mondays and Thursdays at noon Eastern for the bulk of the rest of the season. Not planning to have any adjustments unless we have a couple, which we will. For example, the Thursday before Thanksgiving, we will likely not be on the air. I got to be tied up with some Division I volleyball responsibilities as PA announcer for a local school, so we won't have a show there, which isn't a big deal. Obviously, we will not be on air Thursday of Thanksgiving either. But we'll have one other, I think, conflict we have to deal with, maybe a second. We'll cross those bridges when we get to them. But for the most part, this is less conflicts than if we had stayed in our evening slot. Also because of the new Top 25 show that's on Monday evenings. We'll talk more. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. We'll talk more about it at the end of the show. Switching gears, but not. We're going to talk to another defending champ and another preseason #1, the Trinity Bantams in the men's basketball side of things. Talk about one heck of a championship weekend in Fort Wayne and one heck of a championship game. Trinity came out with the title, holding off NYU, looking to dual champ in men's and women's basketball, which hasn't been done in quite some time. To talk about it and let us know what it was like, joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, it's James Cosgrove, the head coach of the Bantams and the new best friend of Gordon Mann. James, welcome to the show, sir. First and foremost, we hadn't had a chance to say it outside of Fort Wayne. Congrats on the national title. Your off-season must have been a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for all you do for all of us with D3 Hoops. And it's a great contribution you do for our game, and I really appreciate it. And I know many coaches and fans alike. So kudos to you and all that you do for us.
Thank you.
It was a nice off season, and winning the championship is is something special, and our guys definitely cherished it, and it was something that our school, our community, even our state really really cherished, and it was great for our guys and great for our community, and really proud of all the work that our kids did to make it happen for sure.
At what point, I'll be honest, because I think going into that Final Four, I don't know if you guys, I think NYU was probably the heavy favorite. I don't know if I would have had you two. And it was a semifinal that kind of really had me think, oh, they've got a better chance than I realized. What do you think worked for you guys the most, especially that weekend, in terms of being able to not only secure the title, but stifle at least two very good basketball teams?
Yeah, I think the experience of being there definitely helped us, and the experience of being in Fort Wayne, the experience of being at the Final Four, and having to do all the things that go with that, I think was definitely helpful for us. And and I just think the experience with our players, as far as being a senior, junior, a lot of older kids, been through it before, I think was made a difference in us being able to come out as champions for sure.
You mentioned the loss to Trine the year before in the semifinals. Of course, Trine went on to win the title that year. This time you take on a Wesleyan squad who you knew well. And you had a bit of a dogfight with them, even though I thought at times you kind of were in control of that game. Did that help you going into the NYU game? Because you just knew that anything was possible, and one thing in 5 minutes into the game is not going to dictate what's happening in the last 5 minutes of the game?
Yeah, I mean, beating Wesleyan was big for us, a second time, and they were very, very good, very well coached, and so for us to be able to beat them again gave us a ton of confidence, I think, going into the finals for sure. And Wesleyan was a very, very good team, so I think we knew we had a good shot to beat anybody once we beat them, again in the semis.
I think what I found interesting was some of your bigger players, or maybe the ones we all were keying on, maybe didn't have their best weekends. And you got contributions and key moments from guys who maybe were not in the spotlight. And that allowed those guys who were in the spotlight to then find their moments later.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's, a tribute to our players and a tribute to any real good team is, guys that maybe don't have the spotlight or the limelight of some other people are ready when when it's their turn and when their name is called and when they have to step up. And our guys did that all year, and our guys definitely did that in the Final Four. So, yeah, I mean, the Drew Lazars, the Tristan Davis, Will Dorian, Trevor McDonald. I mean, we had Jared Barry. I mean, the list goes on of guys that, maybe aren't the forefront of your thought in our team, but are guys that are very good players and can really do a lot for us and help us in different situations for sure.
Last season, I think it was last season. Yeah, I'm looking at the right one. Vetter led the team in scoring, though you had essentially four guys in double figures. Vetter at about 16 points, Okorogo at 12.5, Lazare at 11, 10 points for Barry. I'm rounding up for him. When you look at this season and who can contribute, who's back, which is I think the scary part. Vetter is back, for example. By the way, so is Chirel. What do you struggle to let these guys realize it's not going to be a carbon copy of last year, and we have to take the approach of almost like it's last year, not in the carbon copy, but in the sense of we have still unfinished business, and it's not going to be another title. It's not anything assured. And by the way, the target's really big on our back. Or can you kind of rely on it a little bit?
I think we have to try to get away from relying on it. I think we have to go about where, hey, number one, the target is on our back, and number two is it's a new team, it's a new season. We're missing some. We're missing some key seniors. We have guys that did contribute in different ways that are not here, and other guys are going to have to step up. And and just because we went on a terrific run last year doesn't mean we have that. Right, or that it's just going to happen. We're going to have to make it happen, and we're going to have to come out every day to make it happen. And it's going to be harder because everyone's going to be gunning for us for sure. So I think it's I think having veteran players is great, and that's a great experience for sure. But it's not going to happen just because it happened last year for sure. I mean, we need to have the mindset of. We have to be tough. We have to be consistent. We have to do all the little things that it's going to take to be successful to get it done, and it's not going to just happen just because.
Well, what's scary is of the top six, or really top five in terms of starts, but six in terms of scoring, you only lost one.
Correct.
And I mean, that from a coaching perspective, that's incredible because you're working with that same core group. And you're getting to cycle it back over and try again. I mean, we just got done talking to Meg Barber. That's what they did essentially last year. With Natalie Bruns and the rest back, they got to essentially restart the whole thing. But to your point, you don't want to fall into any traps, right? So when you start to look at the beginning of the season, which, by the way, hasn't started for all of you, NESCAC rules, you still start on the old traditional date of the 15th. You got Lehman and then Eastern Connecticut, Yeshiva, then Sage at Union. With the other game, they're not known. That's all in January or in November. How do you approach those games? How do you approach it with this team to understand what you want to accomplish in the opening 5 or 6 games?
Well, I mean, one game at a time. I mean, we've already looked a little bit at Lehman, who battled a tough Scranton squad very, very, very toughly, and they beat Newman, who was an NCAA tournament team that we beat, and they beat them soundly. So, I mean, and they're going to be, they got a bunch of seniors, they got a bunch of veterans, so they're going to be gunning for us, just like everyone. So, I don't want to really look too far ahead. We just need to be able to take one day at a time, one game at a time, and just really, try to be the best we can be each day for sure, and not get caught up in down the road or the NESCAC or anything else. Right now, it's just, my big thing with our guys is, guys, we need to get better every day. We need to get better every day, and we can't take days off. We got to stack them together and continue to work, continue to get better.
You got St. Joseph's, Babson, Hartford, who looks good this year, also on that non-conference schedule in December. Of course, you'll get into conference play, and the conference I cannot get a read on. I don't know if it's going to be ultra competitive and difficult, or if there's going to be a split of some kind. Quickly, just your thoughts on the NESCAC. I'll get back to those other games we mentioned, but what do you think of the NESCAC this year? There was some coaching changes. Obviously, Jeff Brown gone at Middlebury and elsewhere, but some of those programs have started to get more competitive than we're accustomed.
Yeah, and I really, the NESCAC is very, very tough. I mean, I just feel it's a, night in and night out. It can be a bloodbath, with everybody, because it's so competitive as far as the rivalries and the bragging rights and all those things. So, and I just think in this day and age too, it's just even at our level in Division III, you just don't know until the season really starts, who's got what, just because of the portal, and this kid played Division I, and that kid, did that, and, all this other stuff. And so I think there's a lot of unknowns, but I just know our conference is, every night anybody can beat anybody in our conference for sure. I don't care what the situation. I think Wesleyan went 10-0 last year. I think that's the first time in forever, I think at least in the last 15, 20 years that someone actually went 10-0. So every night anyone can beat anyone for sure, and it's definitely going to be a battle each night for us for sure.
Last 2 seasons you've won 60 games and lost 5. The seasons before that were dual 16-9 campaigns. What do you put on the tote board? What do you put on the whiteboard, as it were, in the locker room? Is it 30 wins is our goal? Is it 20 wins is our goal? Is it winning season? Is it repeat? What do you put on that is like that ultimate goal we're aiming for to accomplish this season?
Yeah, we always want to win championships. What is that? All kinds of championships. I mean, the NESCAC's, you have a regular season, you have a conference championship, you got regionals, everything. So I mean, our goal is always win championships, but right now it's day by day getting better. And to win championships, you have to be playing your best ball. At the end of the season, you have to be getting better every day. So right now in November, and it's not even November 15th yet, we just got to try to work hard today to get better, and let the chips fall where they may from that philosophy and from that standpoint. And that's, I think, what we've done a good job of, and we got to continue. We can't worry about, hey, we got to get back to the Final Four. We got to win the net. We just got to get better so we can be in position where we can compete for championships.
I know it's a long way off, but this year's different. We'll have the Elite Eight Final Four in Fort Wayne. Then it's 2 weeks off. And the championship game will be in Indy at the now ever getting bigger Final Four weekend, which will not only Division I, II, and III, but also NIT championship. I know it's off a long way, but it'd be cool to be participating in that, wouldn't be? Especially if you are trying to win a second championship. Does that even cross anyone's mind?
It'd be wonderful, but right now it's like down that path that we're not ready to go at. We got we have too much work ahead. We have too many things to think about, and we're talking March and into April. I mean, it's still November, so it's like if you can't become a good team, that stuff doesn't matter. So our and because we were real good last year, doesn't automatically give us the right to we're going to be good this year. You know,
Right.
that's something that we have to strive for each day and get better with each day.
Let me go back to the championship. What was the celebration like? What was it like to get back to campus? What were the first few weeks following that, and what was the off season like?
Yeah, it was really terrific. You know, our guys coming back. You know, we had a great escort from the Hartford, from the fire department escorted us into campus, and that was neat, and around campus, and a lot of people here, and you know, we went up to Fenway and got to be celebrated at Fenway. We threw out the first pitch, and then the nice thing being from Hartford is the Hartford Yard Goats, our local AA team. We got to be honored by them also and throughout the first pitch. So we had some nice celebrations, and went to the State House and met with the senators and all those people. So we had some. They did it up nice for us, and it was great. And you know, it got to a point where it's like, okay, we need this to be done, because at some point we got to start worrying about next year. and you know, it was nice, but now our attention's got to be focused on 25, 26 for sure.
I don't know. I think maybe the best men's basketball coach in Connecticut's not Dan Hurley. I think you got to take some of that spotlight away, didn't you?
I don't know about that. He's a heck of a coach, and we got a lot of good coaches in Connecticut. And
yeah, you do.
A lot of bragging rights might not even be on the men's side for the best coach in Connecticut.
I was going to say, have you called Gino to say, hey, could you have at least not won last year so we could have taken the spotlight for ourselves?
Well, this isn't exactly true, but it's a little bit of a funny story. I said, we got 15 minutes. You get 15 minutes of fame when you do something like that, and then the women win the next week or the week after. UConn women, and that 15 minutes of fame went to about 6 minutes or 5 minutes. But
yep.
It's great for Connecticut, and we're just happy that we can say we're a part of it when everybody brags about the state, the capital of men's and women's basketball is in Connecticut, so we can say we can feel a little bit like we're a part of that too. So
you got 2 weeks out of it before Gino decided to ruin it with yet another championship. I don't think he doesn't need any more, in my opinion.
Right.
But also 2 Connecticut teams in the Final Four last year, to your point. And, of course, 2 NESCACs. And that's the other thing. We've seen Williams and Amherst face off in the Final Four. Now it was Wesleyan and Trinity. And, of course, for Trinity, as good as Trinity's athletics have become, national championships aren't just synonymous necessarily. So there was a lot of milestones that were accomplished last year. And for an entire department, that had to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I think it was great for our whole department. Our women's squash team won another national championship in squash, so that was nice to see them. And our men's rowing team also won a national championship. So, we've had a few recently, and we've had quite a few in the past as far as on the squash side, and then other sports with hockey and baseball winning NCAA championships. So. It's kind of neat to be at Trinity and to be in a part of the tradition that we do have in athletics for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to Meg Barber just now about the chance of getting to 81 and the most Division III women's basketball's most famous winning streak. The most famous winning streak I know of is Trinity men's squash.
Yes,
I had to look it up to confirm. 252 matches, everybody.
Yes.
Ended in January of 2012. I remembered that streak. And yeah, it's great to see another sport like yourself get a bite at that apple. Where's the trophy? Do you get a chance? Did it Stanley Cup style and everybody get a day with it?
Well, not so much that way, but we did bring it to Fenway with us. We did bring it when we went in different places. We were honored by the school a couple different times and got to carry it around for a while. So that was neat. And now it's in the trophy case with some of the other hardware that all the athletic teams have. So it's not too far. It's not too far. It's nice and close to my office, which I like also. So
there you go. Yeah, you want to make sure it's nearby so you can keep track of it.
Exactly.
Could talk to you forever. So fun to reconnect again. Congratulations. By the way, great to see a big smile on your face. I think we've had a few times where we know we've caught you at a part of the season that is stressful, and I love seeing the smile.
Nice. Appreciate it, Dave. And thanks again. Really appreciate all you do for all of us. It's great work. Keep it up.
Thank you. Appreciate it. If you do have any final words, or you can wrap it with that, we appreciate it. Otherwise, good luck this season, and we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road.
Thanks, Dave.
That is James Cosgrove. That is James Cosgrove of Trinity. Great to catch up with him on the Hoopsville Hotline. Bantams look really good this season. We'll see how this all plays out. I'm sure we'll be talking plenty about them as the season moves on. When we come back, we'll stick with men's basketball, head down to Virginia, talk to another flying team, I guess. The Bantams are a chicken of some sort. We'll talk to the Eagles. We know what Mary Washington is. Marcus Kahn joins us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Back with more when we come back here on the opener of Hoopsville for its 23rd season.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
I believe sportsmanship is a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
We are calling you, all of you. We are calling all Division III schools to join our cause.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division III. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
For the love of the game, but for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
All right, tweets out. Any questions for me? No. All right. I just hit the end of the break. Let me get to it. I was talking there. You could hear me, couldn't you? Welcome back to the break, everybody. We're back on Hoopsville. You might have heard me all the way through the break there, and if we did, I apologize. I can't tell if it happened or not, or if the re-aired. Doesn't matter. It's the first game jitters. It's the first game problems on the show. We always have little gremlins on the show on the first one out of the gate. Again, it's just me There is no producer hiding around here. There's so many podcasts out there that have producers aplenty and individuals who help run things. It's just me. I have not figured out how to, A, take my kids out of school to help, or B, get them to help in the first place. So it's just me. And we'll talk more at the end of the show again about how you can help just me do this show better. And coaches, and we already talked about it today. Nice jerseys on the wall, right? You can send them to me. If you got questions for us, email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. You can tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. You can also join us on the Facebook and YouTube simulcasts. And I'm going to freely admit I haven't done a good enough job checking that, so I will do so right after introducing our next guest. You want to talk about teams that jumped into the top 25 preseason poll with a bang and with a surprise and with a, ooh, that's interesting. This one is definitely on that list. Number 15 in the men's top 25 poll, as our top board so clearly says, the Mary Washington Eagles, who tend to get overshadowed a little bit by another team down the road from them in the captains of Christopher Newport, though that could maybe change this year. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline to discuss it, it's the aforementioned head coach of the Eagles. It's Marcus Kahn. Coach, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Hope you are well.
I'm doing well, Dave. I hope you are as well. Thank you for having me on.
I'm doing as well as I can be, considering the season is here and I wasn't ready. It's when baseball goes long. You're like, I got plenty of time. Wait, tomorrow? I don't have time. Off to a 2-0 start. I want to go back to last year because I think on the graphic we have, it says 2025, 15 and 15. People might look at that and go, they're a preseason top 25 team. I think that 15 and 15 belays a little bit of what we all saw at the end of last year. When we got to the end of January, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those losses were at the end of January. And granted, your schedule is a little bit different from everybody's, but at that point you had 10 losses, 5 wins. So you were 5 and 10 into January and flipped that script the other side. What clicked, starting with Santa Cruz at the Freeman Center at Christopher Newport on February 2nd, and you only lost a 2-point game to Marymount. You lost to Christopher Newport twice or 3 times in similar games, but you absolutely dominated everybody else and then gave Emory a heck of a run in the quarterfinals of the national tournament. I'm sorry, no, Sweet 16. Just tell us, what flipped? What changed with you guys?
Well, I really think it was, we went through a stretch there, a couple of those games that you mentioned where, you know, the Marymount game, we lose right at the buzzer. And we had 3 or 4 of those last year, almost in a row. Dickinson, we tough road game for us. And they score with like 0.2 seconds or whatever it was, right at the end to win it. And we just kind of, just kept staying the course. I think the good thing about us last year, and I think we're going to hopefully see the benefit of it this year again, is that we're really young. Last year we had 2 fifth-year guys that played for us, in Zach Blue and Cam McCravey, and then no juniors, which means right now on our team we have no seniors. And so we are 5 freshmen, 5 sophomores, 5 juniors. And, with that youth, it was maybe a little bit easier to kind of keep them motivated and keep going. And just, hey, stay the process. Let's not talk about wins and losses. Let's just talk about getting better every day. And really, I think, that a lot of that was having to say it to myself. For me, it was, I needed to make some corrections coaching that stopped coaching results and, really coach the process. And I feel like when we did that, the guys responded better and started playing a little bit better. I also know that it became a point where it was like, okay, let's just get to the conference tournament, almost like a reset for us. We knew the team we could be. That Santa Cruz game you mentioned, that was one one of the shots that missed on us at the buzzer to go our way, where leading up to that point, they'd all been going in. And so I think that kind of gave us a little more life. We played Newport there. And they got the best of us from start to finish. I think our guys gained a little bit of confidence here against them. We came up short, but we were right there down to the final at least 8 minutes, and we have a player go down that was leading us in scoring at the time, and so we had some confidence going into it. And I think then once we knew, all right, it's conference tournament, clean slate, let's just go see what happens. Being able to beat Christopher Newport in the championship game there and getting that bid was big. I mean, it was a confidence boost where I think we then felt going into the next weekend that, dang, if we can beat anybody at this point.
I think we should point out to everybody that was why you got to the tournament and how you're able to get to that second weekend, because you knew there's no chance in hell you're getting into the NCAA tournament without winning that AQ. If you don't win that AQ, I mean, you went in with a losing record, below 500, which always baffles people. It's amazing how many times a team makes a tournament with a 500 or below 500 record. How they deserve to be in the tournament. Well, you knocked off Christopher Newport, and then you knocked off a good Ramapo team, and then you dominated a Drew squad that had made it to the second round, and then you took a really good Emory team right to the wire in a game played up in Connecticut with the chance of playing likely Wesleyan on the other side of that. Things clicked, and you guys must have had a wealth of confidence as that season or as that run was building.
Oh, we did, and we were kind of feeding off, the momentum, and you could see it again, being such a young team that when things are bad, things are bad, but when they're good and they start feeling good about what they're doing, it was fun and exciting. And I think beating Christopher Newport, then having the opportunity to play Drew, our guys were really ready for that moment, and Drew was very good, had a really good team last year, as did Ramapo, but I think our guys took on, man, if we, listen, we're playing Hampton Sydney, Randolph-Macon, CNU, we run the gamut in the ODAC, and our non-conference isn't a joke either. And so we knew we'd been battle tested, and any style of play we came across, we would at least have seen it during the regular season. And so I think we were ready for what we faced that first weekend. Getting past both of those, I think going into that Emory game, that was one where it's, hey, play free and let's see what happens. And to have that final shot at the end just not go in, it's one of those where you want it to go and you want to keep going on with the season, and when you're that close you really want to extend it, but super proud of the work that they put in. I mean, you go back and then you look at the I was getting a kick out of our assistant coach and I we're laughing at each round when they announced the team and the record, as you kind of said, in that first one, I think Drew was 24-3. I hope I have that somewhat right anyway. And then it was, us at 13-15 or whatever it was, or 13-14. And we just kind of laughed as we went through it, knowing like, man, we got to get to 500. We got to get to the Sweet 16. And, we were, and even on, you mentioned the top 25 when that came out. If you look at that record column, it's pretty funny. But again, it's a young,
I'm not usually
group.
voting for 500 teams in my preseason top 25 ballots, to be completely honest. I don't usually do it. I'm trying to remember if I did, just for the record. And I did. Yeah. We'll hint everybody, same spot they're located on the poll now. Listen, it reminded me boy, I am dating myself. It reminded me of another former Capital Athletic Conference school in St. Mary's back in the day. God, I can't believe I'm saying that. But for some people, they do not know what I'm talking about. But they got a big win. And now in their case, they had a strong finish to a season, got into the NCAA tournament as a CAC winner, knocked off a highly touted Guilford squad in the first round of the tournament, which is arguably one of the top five upsets in Division III men's basketball tournament history, and made a run to that Sweet 16 where they went out to Wash U and nearly got into the Elite Eight even. And they used that to steamroll into one heck of a run for Coach Harney and what they did for a number of years there. They were hosting NC tournament games for several years. After that, they became a behemoth of the region and the conference. How do you guys not only matriculate what you now have, right, and this momentum that you have, but with the expectations that now come with it, because you're in the top 25 with that expectation, but furthermore, not then let it get to the guys, not let it get to their heads, not let it become a stumbling block.
Yeah, I think it's just really reminding those guys returning that, hey, remember what got us there. And, you know, when we look outside of today, we're focusing on the wrong thing. And, you know, I thought certainly early last season with the 2 fifth-year guys we had that had returned to us from the year before, I thought, man, we were probably better at that point in the year. So that's just kind of a reminder now of, hey, we might have been better earlier last year because of the 2 seniors that we had, and we at least had more experience. And so it's a reminder to this group that we've got to just stay in the process, pay attention to the details. We're going to make a lot of young mistakes. We are playing some freshmen, and you know, even our sophomores that are going to play have some limited experience. And so it is new to us, and we've really have to just kind of stay in the moment day to day. And with the schedule that we're going to play this year again, if we start to think about how much fun it was last year, or try to look ahead to then a game that's not right in front of us, we're going to be in trouble. So I think that helps too. Just lock in on the moment. We know we have a big game coming up this Wednesday, and we cannot look past that one. So
we'll talk about that actually in just a moment. But to your point on the team, your leading scorer last year was a freshman in Kyle Robinson, and he's back. Yes, you lose. I'm double checking. I got this right. Yeah, you lose Jay Randall, second on the scoring. You lose, was it Zach Blue, sorry. Guys who are certainly instrumental on this team. But Burgess is back. Bates is back. Young is back. I think McCravey.
And Randall is back. We lost Cam McCravey and Zach Blue. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Jay Randall is back as a junior.
So Jay Randall is back. I apologize. For some reason, did not spot him. But I'll take your word for it. So you bring back, and that's what all of us voters saw. We saw this huge bulk of this team returning, much like Cosgrove and the Bantams. And with that momentum, Marcus, to some degree, I've been waiting for this. And I mean that seriously. You leave Cabrini, you come to Mary Washington. This was what you were brought in for, right? To get this program back to where it was. Nothing against Rod. Love Rod to death. Amazing run that they had in his final season. And we knew there'd be a drop-off for a lot of reasons. Did it take longer to get here than you thought? Because you had some false starts. We had a couple of seasons where this is going to be it, and then it didn't happen. And I feel like last season may have been a little bit of that too. Is this where you wanted it to be, and now how do you keep it here?
Yeah, this 100% where I always wanted it to be. Yeah, sometimes, you know, it takes, things don't always go as you want, and you got to keep working the problem. And, you know, it starts in, we are, you know, we're battling, I would say, the best of the best. And, you know, again, we're playing all the ODAC schools, or at least the top half of that conference. We're playing Christopher Newport, you know, it seems like 3 times a year. Salisbury, you know, we're playing some good teams. And so it's not that we haven't been good. We are just beating our heads against the wall night in and night out. And it's been tough. It's been harder, yeah, to maybe get to this point. I would have loved to have been here sooner, but I'm glad that we are here at this in this moment. And I wouldn't change the way that we got here either. We've got a good group of guys, and I think that's been the key, is our roster. I think, yep, we're young, but we've got some really good young guys that want to learn and want to win and are hungry just to keep getting better. I've always said, and kind of jokingly, that, you know, I don't like freshmen because they don't know anything, and I don't like seniors because they know everything. And so they both kind of frustrate you as you go through it.
And you need both of them.
And you need them both. You need them both. So right now we've cured the senior problem.
It's true.
And playing just the young guys. However, you mentioned Kai. Kai had 30 on Friday night to start the year off against a very good Guilford team. And so he's kind of picked up where he left off last year, and it was a lot of fun to see. And we're going to just kind of keep it, hopefully keep that going and keep building with these other young guys and bringing them along. The way to keep it here, I think, is probably the same way we got it here, and that is just keep recruiting the right kid, the right fit for Mary Washington, someone that's going to come here, be successful in our program, but also in all areas of campus. And I think that's where we are now. We say it in recruiting all the time, our best asset we have here is our roster. We've got such a good group of guys that it is a fun group to be around. When people have asked me around town or here on campus even, wow, you return all these guys, what's the best part about the roster? It's like, they're just fun. It's just a fun group to be with. And so that makes, the day-to-day a lot easier to get through. We know we're going to come up on a tough stretch. There's going to be some tough nights, I'm sure, this year, as there are every season. But we got a good group of guys, and they're fun to work through the problems with.
Let's talk about the schedule quickly before I let you go. This feels like a put-up-or-shut-up schedule, too. Guilford, Eastern Mennonite, already got through them 2-0 with a 4-point win and an 8-point win. Rowan's up next. Yeshiva, which by some accounts may have kind of retooled and coming back strong again. We'll see after that. Then you head to Washington and Jefferson, where you will play Trine under a new head coach, but still pretty good. Carthage, high expectations for them. Then you head to Gettysburg. Sorry, I won't be there. I got to be elsewhere on that evening, so I won't get to see that one up front, but another new head coach with a program with high expectations. Then that Dickinson opponent that you mentioned, we'll see what Allen has. NC Wesleyan. Then you head to San Antonio to play St. Thomas, Texas, and Shriner. Then Mary Baldwin. Virginia Wesleyan. Macedo seems to have a hell of a team on his hands. Catholic. We know what Aaron Kelly has, despite a overtime loss to Hood this weekend. Swarthmore, Regent, Abingdon, Salisbury, Santa Cruz. Then Newport finally. Randolph-Macon. Southern Virginia you can't overlook. By the way, again, Christopher, Newport, Salisbury, and Santa Cruz. Man, Marcus, that is not a slouch of a schedule. You can probably take some hits here and there, right? That's not a big deal in terms of an MPI structure. But, wow, you didn't shy away.
No. We it's kind of the benefit, I guess. Well, depending on how you look at it, we look at it as benefit of our conference and
yes,
the schedule.
I was just talking to an AD in the conference about that exact fact.
Yeah, we some of it is we get to choose who we play in January, and other parts of that are we got to take who we can get and who will play us, and how the schedule works out. But I really enjoy playing against the best teams. I think that it's going to make us better and get us. That's what we benefited from it last year. And my hope is we'll do that again this year. Yeah, we'll probably take our lumps along the way at some point. But I think we're going to be forced to play well every game. And, there's as you read off those names, I would love to be able to blame my assistant for making the schedule, but
you still approved it no matter who said it.
Yeah, it sounds good when we're putting it together, and then just kind of, again, for my own sanity, just need to really focus on the next one. And, we got a really good opponent coming in here Wednesday night. I'm excited for that opportunity. And
yeah. Well, it'll be a challenge. I look forward to watching how the Eagles play on, and we'll stay in touch, obviously. Some point we'll get you on. We had you on around the time the news that Cabrini came out, but I'd love to dive into that history some other time, and we may do it on our new off-court podcast. But congrats. I know this is where you've been fighting to get the program. You've got it there. I know the harder part, though, is keeping it there. So good luck this season and everything it has with it. Just keep Clint Often on his toes for me, would you please? He's slacking off of late. It's really disappointing.
I'd say it to him every day.
Yeah, exactly. As always, you give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in?
No, I appreciate you having me on to be able to talk about our group. Again, I really love the team we have in place, and I really appreciate all you do for Division III and for basketball, making us, it's opened it up where we can watch all the West Coast teams play and hear about their programs where it used to just be kind of in your little region. And so I appreciate all you do for Division III basketball.
Thanks, Marcus. Appreciate it. Good luck moving forward. We'll talk soon, and at least enjoy it.
Yeah, we certainly will.
Awesome. Certainly. Marcus Kahn joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Appreciate his time to join us. We're running a little behind, so I'm going to quickly get off here, head the break. We'll get back. John Carroll women's basketball. Beth Andrews coming up to talk about the squad there who's stealing a little bit of the spotlight maybe from Pete Moran and his team. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by DIII Hoops. Back with so much more when we come back. The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
For the love of the game, but for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you are enjoying it. Our last guest is on the docket. At the end of that, we'll wrap up the show. So we'll go a little over the 2 hours. We're going to do a little bit better at being disciplined at that 2-hour mark. A reminder, if you missed the show live, you can always watch it on demand, and we'll have the podcast available within a few hours of a show going off the air. Appreciate you all joining us. And again, we'll wrap up some business. And later tonight, we will have our Top 25 Double Take show for the first time this year. Speaking of a double take on the top 25 on the women's side, you might have done a double take around the same spot you did a double take on the men's side with Mary Washington. John Carroll women's basketball jumping into the top 25. I meant to look this up beforehand, so bear with me. Let's see here. Last year, the top 25 finished. Come on. And John Carroll was not in the top 25. And they were not receiving votes, best I could tell. So what is it about John Carroll that makes them a number 15 preseason pick? Well, we have a wonderful opportunity on this show to talk to those who might know. Join us on the Hoopsville Hotline. It's Beth Andrews, the alum and head coach of the John Carroll women's basketball program, who was 19-7 last year. Joins us on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk all about it. Beth, thanks for taking the time. Certainly appreciate it. We will point out that you are off to a 2-0 start, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But what do the voters know that you know that maybe not everybody else knows that gets you 15th in the preseason poll?
Well, first, thanks for having me. And then, on that, while it's, of course, such an honor to even be discussed among those top teams that deserve and have kind of the backup to be there, I think that just, if you look at my roster and if you look at how we finished last year and also the teams we were competing with, BW, I believe, was an Elite 8 finish last year, Sweet 16, and we lost to them by 5 there and 5 here. So I just think that we maybe earned a little bit of the respect of we can compete with that top, the top of the crop kind of teams. And I did return everyone on my roster apart from one starter. So I just think that we did. We made some noise. We earned the respect. We have to still earn it. I do not think that we are consistently by any means playing like number 14 in the country, and I'm sure a lot of coaches on that list would say the same thing at this point in the season. But I'm definitely honored to even be mentioned on that list, receive votes in any form of way. I was on it at the beginning of my coaching career, and I was on it as a player, and it really does. It has such a special meaning, and it's great to be talked about again for sure.
I'm pretty sure if I'd asked Meg Barber, even though she's number 1 and they absolutely blitzkrieged their opening 2 opponents, she'd say they aren't playing like the number 1 team in the top 25 either. So,
I would agree. Yeah, pressure's a privilege.
That's
sure.
a common refrain. I'll get that even from coaches who won a national championship. We didn't play that well.
Yeah.
Really? You're in your 6th season. We should point that out with the program. Yes, you graduated from the program, and you hinted at what the success you had prior to that.
Yeah.
What was it about what you learned, as it were, ahead of getting this job that, I know coming back to being an alum is one thing, right?
Yeah.
You always want to come back and coach your own program, no matter the outcome. But what was it about what you learned that made you have the confidence that coming back you could do with the women's program what the men's program has been somewhat synonymous in doing?
Yeah, I think just having that junior-senior experience of the NCAA tournament and what it took to get there, and kind of Kelly Marone, who was my coach at the time and then my boss for a year as well, really made it clear that Division III sports is legit. And, that NCAA title is such a real feeling, and going for it and talking about it and talking about national rankings and regional rankings, that wasn't something that was consistently done here. And so her bringing that to me as a player definitely carried over into my coaching for sure. And then also, talking with Pete Moran, scheduling harder teams, that's how you get to where you are. Do I want to win every game? Absolutely. But my favorite games last year were the losses to BW. There's no better basketball than competitive, talented basketball. Now, should my girls play to that level every single day, every single opponent? Yeah, for sure. If they're 0-25 or 25-0, you want to have that mentality. But end of the day, we play up to our competition. We scrimmaged Kent State last year. And that was some of the best basketball we played, in the early times. And it's because there wasn't pressure, but you want to compete with who you're competing with. And so I think, even watching Sherry at BW, like she's opening with Shrine tonight, I believe. Like I went to Hope a couple years ago and we took 2 to the chin. But to go in the locker room after and be proud of 4 quarters versus a nationally ranked team, that's the growth of a program. So I think that, once I got Ava in her class here, her freshman year, I laid it out that way. I said, we're gonna get there, but it's not gonna be now, and it's not gonna be quick. You guys need to trust the process. And I'm saying the same thing with my current freshmen now. I'm like, look at who's in front of you. Look at this talent. Look at this leadership urgency. You may not get everything this year, but you're gonna see what it's like to win. And so I'm really excited about my future, but I'm more excited about the urgency and the competition I have ahead of me this year.
It's amazing how many coaches I talk to who, when they realize, and I'm not saying in your case, but in others, that it's winning, it's scheduling the tough opponents and putting yourself out there.
Yep.
That makes your teams better, not choosing the softies just to increase your win-loss percentage.
Absolutely.
That doesn't do anything for a team and a program in the long run. It's about putting up and shutting up. If you don't put up, then go figure out how you can.
Yep.
Or otherwise shut up, right?
Yep.
And hats off. Of course, now you're stealing the spotlight from Pete. He's
got it. He's got it. Those boys work so hard. I love seeing them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Both alums, with these programs running the show, as it were. And we'll talk about it in a little bit, some of the challenges you got ahead of you. But tell me about this team, because as you said, not a lot of starters coming back, but a bulk of experience coming back. And I know listening to some of the guys like Scott Peterson and Riley Zayas, they kind of value what you have and what you bring to the table, and exactly what you did against Baldwin Wallace.
Yeah. I just think that I keep using the word urgency this year. We use the word urgency and we use the words win. We're not talking about what we're winning. We're just winning. Like every single day needs to feel like a win. Every single drill needs to feel like you don't get another chance after. We have a large roster this year, and with all those returners, seniors, juniors, got a ton of minutes under their belt this career so far. It just almost feels like the pieces are there. The pieces are there, and our underclassmen are competing, which makes our upperclassmen better. There's been days and drills where I put the freshmen together and it's versus the seniors, and I'm mad because my freshmen my seniors aren't blowing them out of the water, and I'm upset with that. But that only fuels them a little bit more. So really just being able to return all conference players, a backup point guard off the bench with, those calming minutes, it makes us competitive, and it makes us really scary. And we have the right voices saying the right thing finally. So I'm just overall just excited. And I'm also lucky. I've got my staff 4 years, same staff. So the relationships we've been able to build with the girls, it's not anything new. They know what to expect. They know what we need. It's been a fun preseason so far, so definitely really excited to keep going into these better and greater opponents as we head into conference.
I was a little surprised to see the conference, and we should have mentioned it's a new conference for you all.
Yeah.
Picked you third.
Yeah.
I was going through the top 25 on the D3 Hoops website, and I can't find any of them above you.
What
do you think that's all about? Is it just because you're new?
I feel like, you gotta earn the votes. You gotta earn the respect. And I don't believe I played any of them. I don't think I have in a couple years. So I think that comes with a little bit of the territory. No one wants the new guy to mess up what's been going on. And, we weren't always liked in the OAC, and I'm okay with not being liked in the NCAC. I think that just makes things fun. I think the whole point is to build rivals and have competition. And I'm lucky we talked about strength of scheduling. I didn't have to really worry about it in the OAC. And, BW's ranked every year. Ohio Northern's ranked every year. We were constantly having competition, and I think I'm going to get the same thing over here. I don't know all of them well enough yet. And like to your point, people don't see us either. So I'm okay. I'm going to ride right under the radar, and I just expect my girls to play hard.
Baldwin Wallace, by the way, Sherry Harris, I believe she has she negotiated in the contract her teams are always to make the Elite Eight, Sweet 16.
I need to add it to my contract then, too.
Yeah, you should, because I'm
I got to get a copy.
There are teams, when Sherry Harris has a team out there, I'm like, no chance this year.
Yep.
My bad.
Yep, they're always there. They compete, and the way she runs her system, she's able to get so many bodies involved and in there, and they play hard. So we match up the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and I'm real excited to see how it's going to shake out.
About that, you're now in a new conference, so you had a choice.
Oh, yeah.
And you chose to go back and bite at that apple again.
Yeah, we already have next year's schedule. I want to play. I want to play the best, and if I have one of the best 45 minutes down the road, we're going to go at each other because like you said and I said, our best basketball was versus them last year. So I hope that I can get the leg up this year, and especially having it at home, that helps. But I have Marietta Tuesday as well. So
you do?
Yeah,
you do.
I'm playing Marietta tomorrow. I've built such great relationships, and it's good basketball. So why not? Why not play the competition that is respected? I'm definitely here for it.
You also have Carnegie Mellon ahead. Ohio Wesleyan.
Yep. It's coming.
St. Vincent, depending. You got Williams.
Yep. SUNY Brockport's in there, which is always a tough one. Yeah. Yep.
Barry, depending on which Barry is the team. I mean, 18-8, 18-9 the last 2 years.
Exactly.
But you have this NCAC. You've got what I would call an interesting conference because on the men's side, it's evolved and changed.
Okay.
Worcester and Wittenberg aren't who they used to be, but there's others who have risen up. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious what happens with this conference. Denison has shown signs over the years. Yeah. Oberlin has certainly kind of entered the fray, but it's always been the ones chasing DePaul.
Yeah.
But DePaul looks somewhat vulnerable to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, Ohio Wesleyan, great seasons last few years, but changes this year. Yeah. So what do you expect of your conference now? What do you expect of this? As you said, you haven't even played them the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I watched Denison play this past weekend, and they look great. They look outstanding. So I know I'm in for fights, and to that point of no one wants the new guy in here. But what do I expect is I think we're entering at a really good time. I think with OWU having that stellar season and graduating everybody and getting Cody in there, who I think is going to do great things. I think that we're the old ones in this league. It feels like. So I think with any team, any coach you talk to, seniors find a way to get it done. And it's not necessarily about the game plan and the scout. It's about the loose ball and the gritty O boards and the discipline to not foul. And right now, I think it's hard to stay there, but we are there right now. So, we scrimmaged 2 Division II teams to open up the season because, once again, I wanted to make sure it wasn't cockiness. I want to make sure we're ready. I want to make sure we feel good. We showed that our system and what we're doing is who we are. It's not me telling them, hey, you're okay. It's them seeing defense works. It's them seeing pace works. It's them seeing that the way I want to play is because they are capable of it. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think you got to get the home games when you can and get those wins. And then when you're on the road, just be ready to go to battle.
They didn't want the new guy, but they voted the new guy in. They got what they wanted. Yeah. And they know what they have their hands full of.
Yeah, for sure.
What's on the whiteboard in the locker room in terms of expectations, goals, hopes, dreams?
Yeah, every preseason meeting every coach has, they talk about conference and they talk about getting to the NCAA tournament. But like I said, really, I'm keeping it super simple. We have the word win. That's it. There's a team picture. There's the word win. I could start technically probably 8 to 9 girls on my team right now, and I'm not going to start 3 of them. And they say, okay, because we're going to win. And I also talk about, I don't have role players on my team. I just have players. So you're not somebody's replacement. You're not somebody's backup. You're Kaylee, you're Brooke, you're Carmen. So when you're in there, I expect you to be you. I expect you to do your job. I don't expect you to do a smaller or lesser version of the person that played before you. So we're really specific about the words, keeping it simple, but we're really specific about we're going to be good because our players want to win and they're doing what I need them to do. And it's not about, you can't take that shot because that's her shot. If it is your shot, it's your shot. Take it, confidence. Everybody else go get it if she misses. So we write win on the game board before every practice. And then in the locker room, You're going to see their All-Americans, the team picture, and the word win on your way out. And, that's what we're striving for. That's what we're looking to do.
Last time this program was in the NCAAs, if memory serves, and I could have this wrong, I think was 2019.
Yep, I believe
when
I
they
was
went
my
and played
first year coaching.
Middlebury and lost by 8 at DeSales.
Yep.
Otherwise, the success kind of goes back to your playing days.
Absolutely. And go ahead.
How do you translate that? Because in some sense, you're talking to those who don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, when I think back to like Ava's freshman year, she didn't know where regional rankings were. We didn't talk about the D3 top 25. And, I also realistically knew we weren't that team. I understood where we were and I understand what we were capable of. I knew the future was coming. But now what the best part about this year is this large roster size, same as when we went in 2019. And then also having Emily Taylor back with me on staff this year. So I coached with her when we won the first OAC championship. And then I played with her when we went to the NCAA tournament back to back. So we are talking about it. I recruit and I talk about it. I talk about the feeling of cutting a net down. I talk about your credentials when you get to the NCAA tournament and how only a certain amount of people are on the floor. Like, I remember laughing about it as a 21-year-old, but that's what I think about. I don't remember how many points I had, double-doubles. I really don't remember. Was it a 20-win season? Was it an 18? I remember cutting nets, and I remember getting off the bus at an NCAA tournament. And that is what I want these kids thinking about. So, they are. They're already saying, don't make spring break plans, freshmen. This is it. We're going for it. Let's do this. Like, it's in the culture now that we were 19-7 last year. They knew that they could have beat BW, had a couple more things, we done right the right way. They felt it. They could see, wow, we only graduated one. We're all coming back, and we competed with a BW last year. We can do this, Beth. And I'm like, yeah, we absolutely can. Senior versus junior is a different beast. So while it's not we walk around talking about rankings ever, it sure is nice to hear them excited about it and also understand what it means to win then, because you have to win to keep it. And, I think that pressure is a privilege. And so we use words like that all the time too. And if you feel pressure, we want to apply it. So we're using statements like that. It's like, it's all a privilege to be talked about for sure.
Great perspective. Appreciate it. Great insight to understand how that ticks, as it were. Yeah. This is a team that didn't make it last year, maybe had hopes of doing so. And so you build from that, right?
Yep.
And now in a new conference, so you get to do things in a little bit new way, new trips, new understandings, new restaurants, new everythings.
Probably the thing they're looking forward to, the food.
Yeah, I'm sure. You get to go to some cool cities and towns on the way.
Yeah.
Hey, Beth, appreciate the time. Appreciate the insight. Appreciate everything, including your patience in getting on the air with us, not only today, but as of last Thursday. We have a tradition on the show. We always give the guest the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in?
I'm thankful again that people are talking about John Carroll the way it should be and the way it can be. Looking forward to new conference, new competition, new rivals. Excited to keep the OAC as always in our backyard and, but create new friendships, new relationships, new mentorships, and just go out there and give it all we got this year.
Awesome. Well, good luck.
Thanks.
Looking forward to keeping track of you guys and seeing how it all plays out. We got the Carroll jersey up on the wall today.
Yep.
Also keeping in mind our good friend Chris Wensler too as
Of
well.
course.
Have fun with it at least, and give our friend Pete Moran a hard time.
Always.
Yeah,
It's not hard to do at all. I got him.
Yeah, you got to keep him in the straight and narrow.
Yep,
We'll look forward to catching up with him. We got plans to talk to him in our off-court productions. But Beth, take care. Enjoy it in the very least, and we'll look forward to catching up and seeing how this whole NCAC thing works out for all of you.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me.
Hey, Beth, we do have a tradition, though. Last word always goes to the guest. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in?
Go Streaks.
There you go. That works. Hey, take care of yourself. Catch up.
Bye.
See ya. Beth Andrews. Jeez. Join us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to hear that perspective from a team that didn't make the NCAAs, right? But still had that kind of team and jumps into the top 25. What's making them tick? Looking forward to more of those conversations as the month of November and December moves on. We'll take a very quick break, come back, wrap up, put a bow on this one. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops, from the WBCA studios.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, as we put a bow on our season opener for the 23rd season here on the show. I want to thank our guests right out of the gate. Meg Barber at NYU, James Cosgrove at Trinity, Marcus Kahn at Mary Washington, and Beth Andrews at John Carroll. Also, thanks to their sports information directors. We just got done with sports information director, communication, whatever you want to call it, appreciation week. And those individuals certainly deserve it. Jeff Bernstein, I'm not going to forget names because I don't have my email open in front of me. Oh, classic mistake on my part. I got to do better with that. Thanks to everybody. I mean that. I'm sorry. I'm going to the folder where all these are in. Clint Often, of course. Let's see. It's who was it at? Oh, we never actually heard back from somebody at Trinity, but Christopher Kendrick, who is there. And at Mary Washington, of course, John Carroll, big thank you to Joe Ginley for his efforts there. That's the first show, and we got another one coming up on Thursday. We'll talk to more top 25 teams. We'll talk to more programs that are maybe off the radar, who should be on or who deserve to be on the radar or who are on the radar, and you may have questions about whatever. A little bit more topics of the day. We'll get to all of that. But a reminder, coming up tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we will be live with a Top 25 double take. We'll be talking about that preseason Top 25, mainly from the perspective of the preseason. We'll dabble our toes in the water of how some of those programs started this season. But Ryan Scott, Riley Zayas, and possibly Scott Peterson will be joining us to do that on the men's and women's side. And we'll talk about how that will evolve into future shows. For example, 2 weeks from now will be our next one. But tonight's will be available to everybody. But moving forward, it'll be only available to subscribers. And to learn more about that, we just tweeted out a link to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville, where you can learn how to be a subscriber or donate to the cause. Subscribers get a chance to get to these top 25 shows exclusively live for the 36 hours that they're available live until it's available to the public. There was a part of me when I set this up that thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make the top 25 double take show available on video, live, and on podcast, available for a week. And then you're not able to hear that show until the following Monday when the new top 25 is being formulated. So it's a week old, but that's when you find out about it. as we prepare for our next show. We've backed off. We've decided to do it 36 hours. So Wednesday morning, then we'll make it available to the public. It is dated at that point. But don't be surprised if maybe I change my mind. For now, it's 36 hours starting in 2 weeks. If you donate to the cause, become a subscriber, etc., you'll also get my top 25 ballot. I am not going to put that out to the public. That is only going to be available to subscribers to see how I'm thinking about the voting. And I can tell you, and you'll hear about it tonight, I'm a little controversial in my preseason top 25, at least a tad bit, in my opinion. And maybe others will say otherwise. Maybe I haven't lost my marbles as much as I think I have when looking at the rest of the top 25. But nonetheless, that's where we are. There's so much to dive into this season. Again, the men's basketball championships will be different this year. We're all marching to Indianapolis, where the all the championships coming together. Division I, Division II, Division III, and NIT, believe it or not. Division III is the only one that will not be on some cable channel. I was a little miffed at that. Now I understand it, but we will get the later time slot. I think it's a 4:30 time slot. So the NIT, Division II, and then Division III championships will be played on that Sunday. I couldn't figure out why, and then I realized, or someone reminded me, I should say, women's championship is that day as well, and so ESPN has that. So putting it on one of their cable channels probably isn't an option, only because most likely for that championship they will have multiple channels with multiple different options, right? You get the regular broadcast, you get one that might be only from the Skycam, you might get one team's on another channel, another team's on another channel, right? So that's how they tend to divvy out those championships. So ESPNU, for example, just may not be available. So anyway, my point being, Elite Eight and Final Four for men's basketball will be on ESPN Plus from Fort Wayne. Remember, this is the last year Fort Wayne, for at least now, will be hosting men's basketball. They decided not to bid for the next 2 years. Whether they bid when the next ones come up is to be determined. Speaking of which, I think that I got to check on that. That might have already popped up on everybody's radar. I need to double check on those. Then we have 2 weeks off, and we go to Indianapolis for the championship on that Sunday, that first weekend of April. To let you all know, it'll be 2 rounds, 2 games, normal weekend, the opening weekend, and then, like in 2020, Sweet 16 weekend, 4 games will be played on Friday, 4 games will be played on Saturday. That's gonna dictate bracketing. And as we've all discussed, we have a legitimate chance to see 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, 4v5 in the Elite Eight in Fort Wayne, since everybody's coming to Fort Wayne. Much like 2020 was set up for, but now with NPI, we can see that literally put together. Women's side will be a normal top 20, normal postseason. They will crown a champion. And that is, if memory serves, we're going to Pittsburgh again, to the campus of Duquesne. I'm 99% sure. So it'll be an interesting year as we march towards those. As far as Hoopsville, looking quickly at the calendar, which I, of course, did not call up, we'll be on the air this Thursday with the show. Then next Monday, the 17th, there will be no Top 25 show that night. We will not be on the air the 20th unless I somehow change my mind and decide to do like a 10 a.m. show. I have to be at a gig the rest of the day starting around. I have to leave the house at 1:30, and we're already late. The following Monday before Thanksgiving, we will have another show at noon with a Top 25 show later that night. Then the following Monday, the 1st, same deal. Back to the Thursday shows on December 4th. Same with the 8th and 11th and 15th and 18th. Then we'll take our holiday break, and we will not be back on the air until January 5th. And then we'll go from there on the rest of the way. Special programming and all that stuff, more to come. We are still working on the top 16 shows, for example, and whether they're worthy of bringing back. We also have the Selection Sunday show, which Pat hosted last year. Very popular. We'll be bringing that back, bracket shows, et cetera, et cetera. So we are going through this with the same vim and vigor. We're adding the Top 25 show. Hope it's popular, especially with subscribers. We're going to add the off-court podcast starting in December, where we're going to have these in-depth conversations with guests where it's not available to everybody. It's only available to subscribers. That's also likely where you're going to hear first from some important individuals in Division III. So sign up to be a subscriber and help us do this programming. That is going to be podcast-based, though we'll still do video, but it's going to be podcast-based in terms of editing and production. So we got a lot on the table. And to be blunt, we got a lot on the table because we want to bring all this to you, showing you what we want to do in this realm. If it doesn't work this year, we're going to have a very hard conversation with ourselves about what we do moving forward. Plain and simple. So let's do this. We want to do this. Is how we want to do this. This is how we want to make this work. We want to provide this content to everybody because Division III basketball and Division III on the whole is so important. So help us do that, and this will be amazing. And with that, we wrap things up. Again, I want to thank the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. Jumped on board, and with more backing. For lack of better words, you can read between the lines. Really appreciate all of those in Division III. Really appreciate the front office. We will get a chance to talk to Danielle Donahue, friend of ours, who's the executive director of the WBCA, at a later time on this show. Looking forward to that conversation with her. We've always had fascinating conversations. We haven't in a while. Look forward to returning to those. So we'll talk with her sometime in the immediate future. That might be one of those examples where we run it as an off-court podcast and then make it available to the public at a later date. We'll talk with them about that. But that is coming. We are in talks with our relationship with the NABC. Look forward to finalizing those details. At the same time, looking forward to some big announcements to come in the immediate future as well in the realm of Division III. Coaches, if you're interested in getting a jersey on the wall, we've talked to a few individuals about this already today. Email me, plain and simple. Text me. However you know to get a hold of me, get a hold of me. And we'll get you information on how you can get us a jersey to hang on there and maybe help us get them hung. We had a pretty good relationship with the company that got these hangers for us. We're kind of going back and forth with them. Not sure where it's going to lead to, but you can maybe help us get a jersey on the wall as well. And there you go. We're going to wrap it up with that. We're over the 2 hours. I promise to do better on that. I want to make these shows a little bit tighter. Also for my own scheduling, I want to make them tighter. I want to thank you, those who tuned in and watched the show, whether on Hudl, YouTube, or Facebook. We heard from Hoop Kids Atlanta, who said it was a great episode. Appreciate that. And appreciate all of you who stayed in touch. Let me just double check we didn't get an email, because every once in a while a last minute email will pop up and I just completely missed it. We did not, but we'll grow this. We're always a little slow at the beginning. Also, tons of content out there from our friends with Bob Quillman, the Snyder brothers, and others. Direct D3 does amazing work in the realm of scholarships and grants and how do you get to Division III institutions and make it work for you. Maybe that's a conversation we'll go in depth with him at some point about. But thank you all for tuning in. I can't believe we're in our 23rd season. We started in November 2000. We had a few years where we didn't do a show. We nearly didn't get on the air last year, but here we are. Studio could use some fine tuning and we'll work on it. Believe it or not, we're going to find a way to put more jerseys up. We had another idea of how to put up some t-shirts. It fell through. We're going to come up. My wife had a great idea. We're going to figure this out. But we might have a t-shirt of the show. And it's going to be a guessing game. I don't know. We got great ideas. We're going to try and execute them. So this studio in the next few months may ebb and flow and evolve a little bit, get more jerseys hung on the wall, because I've got about 10 jerseys, probably 15 jerseys, not even up right now. So we'll look forward to maybe evolving that as well. And that's it. We'll be back on the air Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Who we're going to have on the show, I don't know yet. We'll figure that out in the next 24 hours. Get our emails sent. If you got a guest idea, though, email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. That's hoopsville@d3sports.com. Email us with your ideas. Let us know who you think we should talk to, why we should talk to them, and maybe we'll bite and invite somebody on the show. Subscribe. Oh, maybe we'll add that as a perk. I haven't had that as a perk. I'll add that as a perk. Subscribe, and you get a chance to email us a guest idea on the show that we'll take seriously. So there you go. Anything we forgot? contact us. Hoopsville at d3sports.com, at D3Hoopsville on Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. We're on Threads as well. Look up D3Hoopsville. We're on Instagram. Look up at D3Hoopsville. I think that we covered all of them. We're not on Discord. Maybe that's another perk. Maybe I'll set up a Slack channel so you can join us, because I'm not getting into Discord. Slack is where my world is. Maybe we can set something up there. I think I've put a bow on it as succinctly as I possibly can. There's so much in this offseason to still talk about. Again, we'll dip our toes in the water of rule changes and hear a little bit from the interview Ryan Scott did with Jim Haney coming up on Thursday, and maybe some other content as well. You can always go to the D3 Sports YouTube page for some of the conversations Pat and Ryan had in the last few months with coaches and others in Division III and especially Division III basketball. And with that, we sign off and bid you adieu. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you ever want to get a hold of us, you know how to do it. We'll get the graphic all set up for the future. Thank you for watching. You've been listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com for the WBCA studios. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a good rest of your day.